Now let's talk about accessibility modifiers. Uh, let's go back to our employee example. You should be familiar with the private keyword and the public keyword. Now, salary has been declared as private in employee. What does that mean? It means that you can only use the variable salary from this opening curly brace to this closing curly brace. You cannot directly access salary outside the employee class. Now I was saying that manager extends employee. And manager is an employee. Manager inherits everything from employee, um, including the salary attribute. Now my question here is it possible to access salary from manager? I'm going to write a new class called um, display. I'm going to write a new method called display. And what display does is going to print out the bonus value, the value of bonus, as well as the value of salary plus salary. Let me save manager and let me try to compile manager. I'm going to get a compilation error, and let's try to understand it. It says on line 14, okay, which is this line here. Line 14, it says salary has private access in employee because it was declared as a private attribute in employee, and hence you cannot use it. That is the accessibility error. So on one hand, a manager has inherited salary, alright, but on the other hand, it cannot access salary directly because it is private in employee. So how do we solve the problem? Fortunately, we have written a getter method which is public in employee. So if you really need to, you can call get salary, okay, which is a public method, and this works. This compiles. Alright. Now the second way to solve the problem, okay, I've changed the code back so that it uses salary. The second way to solve the problem is do not use private, okay, for salary in employee. We can use protected. Protected is another Java keyword. Let me save everything and try to compile manager again, and it works. So what exactly is the meaning of protected? Look at this table. This table shows that in Java, for methods and attributes, there are actually 4 levels of protection, or 4 levels of accessibility. Okay, if you use the public keyword to declare an attribute or a method, now the attribute or method will be accessible everywhere. Y means yes. On the other hand, if an attribute or a method is private, it is only accessible from within the same class the attribute or method has been declared. Protected is somewhere in the middle. A protected attribute or protected method can be used in a class, of course. Okay, for the case of employee, salary is protected. It can be used in employee. It can be used in subclasses, and that includes manager. In other words, manager can access salary, which is a protected attribute, directly. It cannot be accessed by anyone else. It cannot be accessed by a class which is not a subclass of employee. Now there's another column here. I can't highlight a column. The package column. Alright. A protected attribute can also be accessed by another class in the same package as employee. We have not talked about package, so let's keep that in view. Alright, there's another level of accessibility. Since we are this table, let's talk about it. We call this level package accessibility. Alright, basically you do not use the package keyword. You just don't use a keyword when you declare an attribute. it is slightly more private than protected. Alright, if you don't use a modifier, you can only access that attribute or method if you, from the same class or from another class in the same package, but not from a subclass. Okay, so that's the protected keyword. Generally, principles of encapsulation, we should strive to be as private as possible for attributes and methods, which means that if there's no need for an attribute or method to be public, make it protected. If there's no need for it to be protected, make it package. That means don't use an accessibility modifier. If there's no need for it to be a package attribute, make it a private attribute. In reality, there's no real good reason. Actually, I can think of one, but I'm not going to discuss it here. There's no real good reason for an attribute to be a public attribute. At most, make it protected. If necessary, provide public getters or setters. Okay, that's encapsulation view.